It's that time again, and I don't know. No one really expects this stuff to last. It's a shame that it doesn't, but honestly, it isn't the structures and the farms, the exploration that makes Minecraft beautiful. It's the hard work that we put into it, the sense of purpose we feel while doing it, the connections we grow. Our daily lives are so often devoid of any beauty. At our education, the system grinds along happily on our bare minimum effort. We do so many things because we must, and we never allow ourselves to pour any joy into it. For us, this game has been that creative outlet. And now we have all these people breathing down our necks, telling us it's time to grow up and be something. And this whole time I knew I was just building with sand, knowing that it would all be flattened when the tide rose. But I did so with a smile because I allowed myself to leak out from within and feel a long-lost sense of purpose. And that is beautiful, regardless of whether that sense may be false. It's a fleeting sensation that drives us to repeat our actions in order to capture it again. Putting it that way may make the act sound grim and meaningless, but in a way, what isn't? We will spend the majority of our lives chasing meaningless material in emotionless rooms, flowing through the open, bleeding viscera of generosity, dropping with the plat onto the black detritus of greed. Ultimately, we come here, time over and time again, to feel that sensation that bounces around in our brains all day, trying to jump out of our neurons through our muscles and out our subcutaneous flesh. We seek to free the blood that pushes against our skin before we crumble to dust and it flows no more. And I urge you to let it flow. I urge you to feel and to care. And if you can't break it, it's okay. But you need to be ready to make it. We are porous, we are mortal, we drift every day. Every direction taking us nowhere. Ignoring it only makes it more frantic. Our blessing, which you must cherish, is the beauty that lies in the tossing stones. Do not let that beauty elude you. Wipe your eyes of bitter tears. Rush your shores of your lust for power and admire the serenity. It will be spent one day, whether you like it or not, and you cannot hoard it or keep it. You must simply lose it. Let it go. Hey, I tried to re-record that last bit like a dozen times, but I don't know. That was the first recording that I just kept in the final cut, and I stutter over my words a few times, and I could rephrase it better. But I just think the timing in my voice just gets the message along pretty well, and I just wanted to share a few more anecdotes before I close off this video that I wrote down here. Alright. The other day I was at my brother's school rehearsal, and I remember as they started, I was holding back tears, and I didn't really know why. But I remember looking to my left and seeing Kenneth Branagh as Hamlet in my head. And he was sitting there holding back tears as well, and he was just lamenting on like the passage of time. And I thought it was all really beautiful. Events like those are the culmination of a lot of people's hard work. And I've been there. In middle school, I had the same teacher for 3 years for music, and I tear up every time we go to one of these and see him, or when he occasionally makes a guest appearance at my high school, because he represents a beautiful part of my past. And I think I'm always going to look back at this particular part of my life, or listen to this particular music, and I'll always be teary-eyed, because it's the exemplification of a small bit of fleeting beauty in an otherwise damp and dark-natured reality. Another thing I want to talk about was today. I had prom today, and when we were leaving prom, I was in this party bus, and it was all these girls, and it was just me and this other guy, and we were just the only other guy. And we were talking to them for a while, and then eventually they just sat by themselves, and it was just me and this kid. And I remember having this conversation with him. I didn't really know him at all, but we'd always been around each other throughout high school. It just felt really rare to have that, which was blunt in a way that would be socially repulsive in any other sense. And we just talked about how we viewed each other through high school. It started, he asked me if I smoked weed, and I said I didn't. And I said I didn't think of him as that sort of troublemaker, and he was like, what do you mean? And it's interesting because he probably thinks of himself as exactly that kind of troublemaker, But I don't know, the image you hold of yourself winds up being arbitrary in that sense. He remembered playing baseball with me when we were 9, and I don't really even remember a single kid that I played baseball with when I was 9, but I definitely did. And I remember in 9th grade, he had this bandaged hand and stuff. And I asked him about it, and he didn't remember it at all. And then he apologized to me for being mean to me in that class, which I don't remember at all. And then, I don't know. Well, I do know this while I'm talking. I don't know why the fuck I always say I don't know. Well, a lot of the people around us hold just completely deranged images of the image that we have of ourselves. Right? Just like in that case, this guy only thinks of me when he thinks of baseball or times he was mean to someone we didn't want to be. And ultimately we both agreed that throughout high school we didn't feel like we got as much of that as we could. And we said if we went back again, we would talk to more people. Which makes a lot of sense. Especially with one of his few memories being him being rude to me. I don't know, that kid always had a tough time. I didn't think of this when I was sitting with him, but I remember this one time I watched him fight this kid in a locker room. And it was literally I was sitting in the locker room reading a book, and then the kid I was sitting on the bus with just popped in, and he was fighting this other guy. And there was a third guy who was yelling at him, and he was telling him to calm down. And then the guy I was sitting next to just I think he breaks his glasses because the kid he was fighting had glasses. Whatever, it was messed up. They both got suspended for 3 days. I don't know, maybe it's not that. I just was caught off guard when he asked me if I smoke weed. And in his mind, if he asked himself, he probably wouldn't have been caught off guard. Because that's how he views himself. Just don't always try to adhere to such a strict image of yourself when you're around other people. Because you literally have no idea what other people think of you. That's why I think that was a rare conversation. Because I don't even talk that way with them when I'm with my friends. It was just sort of no stakes, because That was probably the last time I ever going to talk to that kid. Well, next episode I want to talk about why it's harder to make friends today than it was 20 years ago, and why loneliness is increasing every year. And then I want to talk about abortion next episode. See you guys then. Let's do an inspection of the base from the bottom to the top. I didn't know this made the glass like that. Okay. Well, down here we have all of our villagers. Say hello. Iron armor. Diamond armor. Looting. Efficiency 5. Silk touch. And, mending. Protection 4. Feather falling 4 for 56. Come on, that's a deal. That's a deal. Alright, can't forget. Cows. Cow time. You know, we don't neglect on livestock in Minecraft DG Courts. No, we do not. We, do not neglect on livestock. Alright, well, that was Dylan's floor. Up we go.